Well, it's still getting messier and messier in the It Ends With Us feud between co-stars Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
I said that having read through Blake Lively's complaints, that it was evident to me that she was likely under the influence when she filed her complaint.
Well, let's talk about the Hollywood whirlwind that's got everyone's head spinning. Picture this. Blake Lively, America's sweetheart, the golden girl of red carpets and rom-coms, is suddenly not looking so golden anymore. The story brewing here has everything. Backstabbing, alleged manipulation, and, of course, some heavy-hitting names. And at the center of it all, a calculated feud with Justin Baldoni that's now spiraled into lawsuits, leaked footage, and one massive public relations disaster.
We need to stop being so ADHD where we're only into stories at the very beginning of them and we never see them through. Like, we need to bring back true investigative reporting.
But let's back up for a second. You might be thinking, wait, Blake Lively, the queen of charm and effortless grace. What could she possibly have done? Well, hold on to your popcorn because according to some very compelling claims, this isn't just your run-of-the-mill Hollywood beef. This is about power plays, image control, and, dare we say, a little bit of diva behavior. And guess who's been digging into the layers of this drama? None other than Candace Owens. That's right, Candace has stepped into the spotlight here, peeling back what she calls the perfectly curated facade of Blake Lively and exposing what she claims is a much darker reality.
So there's a lot going on right now in Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively world. I obviously have the inside scoop because I've been obsessively following this.
Candace has been piecing together a timeline that, if true, paints a very different picture of how all this started. She's not just throwing shade here, she's coming in with receipts. According to her findings, Blake wasn't merely reacting to alleged disrespect from Justin Baldoni. She was allegedly laying the groundwork for this feud months in advance. Candace claims that the timeline of events shows Blake pulling strings behind the scenes as far back as late 2024, long before the public even got a whiff of the drama. And if that's true, it adds a whole new layer to this already juicy story.
Like I said, this feels a little bit like a cop-out, and I think it's more likely that what she's doing here is trying to stay out of it. This is the Taylor Swift movement. This is likely a legal strategy. I don't want to be involved in this case.
Now, let's talk about Blake's image for a second. She's been Hollywood's golden girl for years, right? The picture-perfect wife to Ryan Reynolds, effortlessly chic, and always saying the right thing. But according to Candace, that image was just that, an image. Behind the scenes, Blake was allegedly making power moves to control the narrative around her and Justin Baldoni's professional relationship. And let's be real, who doesn't love a good behind-the-scenes power struggle? But this one, if the rumors are to be believed, goes way beyond creative differences.
And one of the most significant allegations in Baldoni's lawsuit is that Lively sought to gain control over the editing process of the film. This is important.
Here's where things get sticky. Candace has suggested that Blake's efforts to paint herself as a victim in this saga were actually part of a calculated strategy. She wasn't just responding to issues on set. She was allegedly creating an environment where she could emerge as the hero of her own story. And it wasn't just about her. According to Candace, Blake was pulling in other big names. Yes, we're talking Taylor Swift and even her husband, Ryan Reynolds, to bolster her position. The narrative. Blake Lively, the wronged starlet, standing up to a supposedly toxic work environment. The reality. Well, that's where things get murky. Candace didn't hold back when she broke this down. She laid it all out, saying Blake thought she had this all figured out. She was controlling the narrative, pulling the strings, and using her connections to make herself look like the victim. But guess what? The receipts tell a different story. And those receipts, they include everything from text messages to behind-the-scenes whispers that suggest Blake was far more involved in orchestrating this drama than she'd like the public to believe.
Blake Lively's team has denied all of these allegations. They have responded to this filing.
Now let's bring Justin Baldoni into the picture. Justin, for those who don't know, has been in the industry for years. He's built a reputation as a thoughtful creator, someone who's passionate about his projects and the people he works with. But according to Blake's allegations, he fostered an uncomfortable environment on the set of their film. It Ends With Us. Blake's initial claims didn't just paint Justin as unprofessional. They went much further, accusing him of specific behavior that she says made her feel deeply uneasy. These accusations set off a media firestorm, with headlines everywhere focusing on the supposed fallout between the two stars. But here's where it gets complicated. Justin wasn't about to take those accusations lying down. In fact, he's fought back hard, claiming that Blake's portrayal of events is not only inaccurate, but part of a larger campaign to discredit him. And here's where Candace's timeline comes into play. She's pointed to evidence that suggests Blake was working behind the scenes to shape this narrative long before her accusations went public. If that's true, it raises serious questions about Blake's motivations and the validity of her claims.
Literally, I'm just asking the question, like, how are women allowed to do this, to take something and to make it sound like you survived a because that's what it sounded like to the public.
Now, we have to talk about the leaked footage. This has been one of the most talked about aspects of this whole ordeal. Justin's legal team released unedited clips from the set of It Ends With Us, which they claim refute Blake's accusations. In the footage, you see the two actors working through scenes together, with none of the tension Blake described in her allegations. Instead, the clips show what looks like a collaborative process, actors discussing their characters, directors discussing their characters, directors giving guidance, and everyone doing their jobs. But here's the kicker. Both sides claim the footage supports their version of events. Blake says it shows her discomfort, while Justin says it proves he acted professionally. This is where public opinion starts to split. On one hand, you have people saying, why would Blake lie about something like this? What does she have to gain? On the other hand, you've got folks pointing to Candace's timeline and saying, if Blake was strategizing this far in advance, maybe there's more to the story. And then there's the involvement of Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift, which only adds more layers to this already convoluted drama.
Most of his career, he has been a major proponent of feminism, of healthy masculinity. How does it feel for him, though?
Let's not forget about Ryan. He's been Blake's biggest supporter throughout this ordeal, but his involvement hasn't been without controversy. There are rumors, unverified of course, that Ryan may have used his influence to help shape public perception of Justin. Some even claim that Ryan's recent work, including scenes in his films, contains subtle digs at Justin. Whether or not that's true, it's clear that Ryan has been firmly in Blake's corner, and his actions have only added fuel to the fire.
Shutting down a woman's claim.
She is claiming that there was harassment. He's saying none of it is true, never happened, never did.
Then there's Taylor Swift. Initially, it seemed like Taylor was supporting her close friend Blake, even attending meetings with her and Ryan, and reportedly offering creative input on the project. But as the drama unfolded, Taylor started to distance herself. Sources close to the situation say that Taylor felt blindsided by how deeply she was being dragged into the feud. And now she's said to be doing everything she can to separate herself from the controversy. Whether that means cutting ties with Blake altogether remains to be seen, but the fact that Taylor's name keeps coming up in this saga shows just how tangled this web has become. And let's not overlook the role of public relations in all of this. Blake's team has been working overtime to flip the narrative, portraying her as the victim of a toxic work environment and an unfair media landscape. But critics, including Candace Owens, have called this out as a classic PR movie: deflect, distract, and deny. According to Candace, Blake's team is trying to make people forget about the allegations against her by focusing all the attention on Justin. But is it working? Not if the growing skepticism around Blake's story is any indication.
That Justin won't be bullied by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. So his lawyer told us that their recent court filings show how scared they are.
The public response has been fascinating to watch. On social media, people are dissecting every detail, every leaked text message, and every frame of that footage. And while some are firmly Team Blake, others are starting to question her motives. The leaked footage has been a game changer in that regard. For many, it's hard to reconcile the collaborative atmosphere shown in those clips with the toxic environment Blake described. And as more details come to light, the narrative continues to shift. So where does this leave us? At this point, it feels like we're watching a high-stakes chess match, with moves and countermoves happening in real time. Blake and Justin are both digging in their heels, refusing to back down, and the legal battles are only adding fuel to the fire. Meanwhile, Ryan and Taylor find themselves caught in the crossfire, their own reputations at risk, depending on how this all plays out.
But yeah, it's just getting super nasty, and it seems like he's not cowering to this attempted gag order.
Yeah, I don't really understand Blake Lively's point.
But here's the thing. This story is far from over. There are still so many unanswered questions, so many twists and turns yet to come. What was Blake's true motivation in bringing his allegations to light? Was Justin really as unprofessional as she claims? Or is he the victim of a calculated smear campaign? And perhaps most intriguingly, what role did Ryan and Taylor really play in all of this? As the drama continues to unfold, one thing's for sure: Hollywood hasn't seen a feud this messy in a long time. But wait, if you thought this Hollywood mess couldn't get any more tangled, buckle up, because now we're diving straight into the legal battles, the behind-the-scenes scheming, and the fallout that could change careers, friendships, and reputations forever. Let's just say, if you thought the first act of this drama was juicy, the second is downright explosive.
Also provided a cease and desist letter, asking them to cease, quote, all unlawful conduct, namely what they alleged is the, quote, harassing and retaliatory media and online campaign against Miss Lively.
Let's start with the lawsuits because, honestly, they've become the centerpiece of this entire saga. Right now, Blake, Lively, and Justin Baldoni are locked in a legal showdown that feels more like a tabloid soap opera than an actual courtroom affair. Blake dropped her lawsuit first, leveling some pretty severe accusations at Justin. She claimed that he created an uncomfortable environment on the set of It Ends With Us and her allegations didn't just stop there. They painted a picture of a man whose behavior allegedly crossed professional boundaries, but Justin wasn't about to sit back and let his reputation go up in flames. Oh, no. He fired back with not one, but 2 countersuits, including a jaw-dropping defamation claim worth $400 million. Let that sink in. $400 million. That's not just a lawsuit. That's a declaration of war.
Look at this scene that was captured on tape. You'll see there's nothing nefarious going on. She says this actually proves her point. There's an argument that she is hiding her discomfort with what he's saying and doing, and she's just trying to finish the scene like any kind of professional. Which way you take it, which way you perceive it, again, that'll be up to a jury or the fact finder.
And while these lawsuits are playing out in court, they're also playing out in the court of public opinion. Justin's legal team has been strategic, to say the least. They've released footage, leaked documents, and even hinted at more dirt to come. One of the most talked about moments was when they shared unedited clips from the A Tea Ends With Us set. Now, if you watch these clips, you know they didn't exactly scream toxic environment. What you see are 2 actors, Blake and Justin, working through scenes, taking direction, and honestly looking pretty collaborative. But here's the kicker. Both sides are claiming victory. Blake's team says the footage proves her discomfort, while Justin's team says it shows he acted with complete professionalism. And the internet? Well, the internet is having a field day dissecting every single frame. But it's not just Blake and Justin duking it out. This legal drama has dragged in other Hollywood heavyweights, including Blake's husband, Ryan Reynolds, and her close friend, Taylor Swift. Let's start with Ryan because his involvement is turning heads for all the wrong reasons. Rumors are swirling that Ryan wasn't just supporting Blake behind the scenes, he was actively using his influence to tip the scales in her favor. There's even speculation that one of his recent projects, Deadpool and Wolverine, contains subtle jabs at Justin Baldoni. And if that's true, it's not just petty. It's a calculated move to publicly undermine Justin's credibility.
We can now all agree that the moral crimes committed here by Ryan Reynolds against Justin Baldoni have amounted to high treason.
One particular moment that has fans buzzing comes from a supposed deleted scene in Deadpool and Wolverine. In the scene, a character said to resemble Justin is mocked in a way that feels way too specific to be coincidental. The dialogue, the mannerisms, even the hairstyle, everything about it screams targeted. And while Ryan has stayed quiet on the matter, people are starting to connect the dots. Was this his way of taking a public jab at Justin while staying out of the courtroom drama? If so, it's a bold move, but one that could backfire spectacularly.
I have got some major scoops. I mean, everybody's talking because the sink is shipping and people want to get onto lifeboats. So let's jump right in. Welcome back to Candace.
And then there's Taylor Swift. Oh, Taylor. For someone who's usually so calculated, her role in this mess is as baffling as it is messy. Initially, Taylor seemed like she was firmly Team Blake. She attended meetings, offered creative input, and even allegedly influenced a key scene in It Ends With Us. But as the lawsuits rolled in and the public started paying closer attention, Taylor began to distance herself from the drama. Sources close to her have hinted that she feels blindsided by how deeply she's been dragged into this feud. One insider claimed that Taylor didn't even realize the extent of Blake's issues with Justin until it was too late. And now she's in full damage control mode, trying to protect her own brand while quietly stepping away from the chaos.
So I'm just going to very quickly, before I give you all of the tea that I got over the weekend, I'm going to go over the biggest revelations from the filing.
But here's where things get really interesting. According to leaked messages, Taylor might not be as innocent as she's trying to appear. There's evidence suggesting she was present during key discussions about the film's direction and even offered advice that directly contradicted Justin's vision as the director. One text exchange, in particular, has people raising eyebrows. In it, Justin allegedly thanked Blake for her creative input, but made it clear he didn't need Taylor or Ryan's involvement to appreciate her ideas. The tone of the message, polite but firm, like someone trying to set boundaries without causing a scene, and yet those boundaries were clearly ignored.
Her PR team, if you're her agents, if you are her lawyer, you are saying to her, you need to be neutral. You need to stay out of this thing. This is not good for you.
At this point, the lines between professional disagreements and personal vendettas have become so blurred, it's hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. And that's what makes this whole situation so fascinating. On one hand, you have Blake, Ryan, and Taylor, a trio of Hollywood power players who are used to controlling the narrative. On the other hand, you have Justin, who's fighting not just to clear his name, but to protect his career. And let's be real, in a town like Hollywood, reputations are everything. One wrong move, one bad headline, and you're done. And speaking of reputations, let's not forget about the PR war happening in the background. Blake's team has been working overtime to shape public perception, painting her as a victim of workplace mistreatment. But Justin's team isn't backing down. They've been just as aggressive, releasing evidence they say proves Blake's accusations are exaggerated, if not outright false. And then there's the issue of the timing. Why did Blake wait until now to file her complaints? Was it a genuine attempt to hold Justin accountable, or was it a preemptive strike to distract from her own controversies? These are the questions people are asking, and so far there aren't any clear answers.
It's just this weird thing that women do. I don't know why, but we lie to each other on the internet. I see it all the time. I want to call it out. I want to be like the internet police and be like, that's not true. Stop supporting your friends when they're doing bad or harmful things.
But let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. This isn't just about Blake and Justin. This is about power dynamics in Hollywood, about who gets to control the narrative and who gets left behind. It's about the lengths people will go to protect their image, even if it means dragging others down in the process. And it's about the public's growing skepticism towards celebrity culture. Because let's face it, in a world where everyone has a platform, the truth has a way of coming out, no matter how hard you try to bury it.
All out of cards, and they've got nothing to prove this right now.
For Blake, this could be the fight of her life. Her golden image is cracking, and the more people dig, the more questions they have. For Justin, this is a chance to clear his name and prove that he's more than just a scapegoat in someone else's story. And for Ryan and Taylor, well, they're walking a very fine line. One misstep, and they could find themselves dragged even deeper into this mess. So where does it all end? Will Blake and Justin settle their differences in court, or will this feud continue to play out in headlines? Will Ryan and Taylor manage to protect their own brands, or will their involvement come back to haunt them? And most importantly, what does this mean for the future of Hollywood's carefully curated image machine? One thing's for sure, this story is far from over. And as more details come to light, one can't help but wonder, who's really pulling the strings here? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going and see where this roller coaster ride takes us next. Until then, stay tuned for more updates, and thanks for joining us on this wild journey through the world of celebrity drama. Goodbye for now.